everybody, and welcome to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Mr. Brennan Stefanik, coming at you with your general programming reminders. Every Monday, folks, we are here with the main pod, and every Wednesday, Danny and I are bringing you in the spotlight. But that's enough about me, because today is an incredibly special episode, because I am here with number one fan of the podcast, Miss Maria Norris. Maria, what is going on?
Hi, Brennan.
I am so happy to have you here.
You know what? This is a dream.
It sure
It's been
is.
a dream for a full year now, since the pod was just a concept of a pod,
Just
honestly.
a little baby.
Wow, here we are.
Maria, who the heck are you and what do you do?
Hey, I'm Maria Sylvia Norris, according to Equity.
That's what's on the card.
That's what is official now. Can't change it. So I'm an actor.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a performer. I'm currently on the tour of Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a good friend of Brennan.
Indeed. The best. Maria, how do we know each other?
Like several other members of the pod squad. We met...
I love that. Oh my God. Okay, I'm using that.
We met at the Franklin Performing Arts Company doing the infamous production of The Little Mermaid.
That little mermaid. Boy, was she.
Yeah.
Oh, that was almost a year ago.
Really? Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I hate
It's been
that,
a
actually.
crazy year.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. I feel old. I feel decrepit.
It's all part of the journey.
Yeah, that really is. Okay. Anywho, Maria, did you go to school for theater?
I did. I went to NYU.
Heck yeah, I've heard of it.
Yes. It's small, very small school. I went to the Tisch School of the Arts.
Okay.
I will date myself here a little bit. Yikes. But I went to Cap 21 back when that was the musical theater studio through Tisch. Now it is the new school on Broadway.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we were the second to last class to go through Cap 21.
Okay.
The class below me and the first year of the new studio overlapped.
Understood.
So they were kind of creating both programs as Cap was on its way out.
Okay.
And the new studio became the studio within NYU because
Heard.
Cap 21 was its own conservatory that existed outside of the school, and they were just
Okay.
contracted into the school.
Mhm.
And then, contract negotiations
Mhm.
didn't quite go the best, and they split. And so NYU created their own program, which still exists and is thriving to this day.
Yeah.
And CAP is its own thing still. And I think now it's attached to Malloy College.
I've never
So,
even heard of that.
Yeah, it's just kind of floating around out there. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Just another school in New York.
Yeah, so many. There
Oh
really
my
are.
God. We love theater. We
Infinite.
love theater education. That's why we're here, honestly.
It is.
Oh my
It
God.
is.
Okay, Maria, you are currently traveling the world.
Oh, yeah.
You are doing it all. You are everywhere. You are across the globe. And that started with, correct me if I'm wrong, that started with Sister Act, right?
I would say, yeah. I mean, before Sister Act, I did Madagascar.
Oh my God, that's true.
So I guess I was touring earlier that year as well.
Wow.
So yeah, within like a year and a half, I was thinking about this. I've done 3 different tours.
That's crazy.
3 different types of tours.
And Madagascar was non-union, correct?
Madagascar was a non-union.
And then Sister Act doesn't really exist in union space?
Yeah, because Sister Act was an international tour.
Mhm.
So it exists outside of Equity, which was its own complications,
Oh,
honestly.
but of course.
It meant we couldn't rehearse in New York at all.
That's crazy.
Which made it kind of a mess when it came to the remount, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Can't wait.
But yeah, Sister Act was an international tour, so we had both equity and non-equity members, and
Mhm.
also international actors. We had Korean cast members as well because we performed in South Korea.
Yeah.
And then Beetlejuice now is equity,
It's
so
an
I
equity
have
tour.
finally taken my card,
She is a member.
joined the club.
She
Here
is-
we are.
Yeah, good for you. Congratulations, first of all, on that.
Thanks.
That rocked amongst everything else. But first off, I mean, what is it like getting to see the world after coming from our little small town areas that we're from?
I mean, it's been amazing to be the type of actor that can kind of say yes and to any of these contracts that come up. Because
Mhm.
before touring, I did cruise ships.
Yep.
That was kind of my first little dabble into like seeing the world
Mhm.
because my parents aren't very adventurous. We don't do big vacations in our household. I think I've only been to Disney like twice, and it was through my school.
Heard.
So I don't get to journey very much as a human.
Mhm.
So these adventures are really exciting and special to me. So like I said, cruise ships, I kind of got to do the the island thing,
Yes.
the Bahamas, the Caribbean, and then Madagascar, with it being a bus and truck. It was literally just driving state to state. And
That's
that
crazy.
was its own adventure. We kind of hopped around. And I checked a lot of states off of my list.
I don't know if we've talked about what bus and truck is. Do you want to enlighten the listening audience out there?
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of different types of tours, right? And I guess bus and truck is kind of a slang term we use for the tours that don't fly to travel. They stay sort of within a driving range. That's usually like the non-union types of tours.
Yes.
Things like, I think Legally Blonde was a bus and truck. Madagascar was a different type of bus and truck because we were such a small cast. It was a cast of 10 with 2 swings, so 12 in the cast. And I think the crew was either 9 or 10. So we were so small that we traveled on sleeper buses, like tour style, rock star, like sleeper buses.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I liked it more than I thought I would.
Good.
It's kind of, it's its own adventure and way of living for sure. It was something we had to adjust to because you're sleeping while you're driving, and so we all had our little bunks on this giant bus, and it slept 12 people. So there's 6 on each side, and we're just kind of stacked on top of each other. But you figure it out. You wear headphones to sleep, or some people got little white noise machines. I had my LED lights, very similar to how we do on a cruise ship.
Lovely.
I made it vibey, and I had my satin pillowcases and a little diffuser. And so I would just conk out. I would, listen to podcasts and things and just, I found it pretty relaxing after a while. After the first couple weeks, I was able to sleep pretty well on the tour buses. But I think I preferred that style of touring because the luxury of that is you wake up and you're already in the next place.
Great.
And you get the whole day because the crew, bless them, are, getting up early and setting up the whole set and making sure everything works for the show that night. The cast kind of just gets to hang out. We get to go find a coffee shop. And for Madagascar specifically, the theater would provide us lunch every day. Yeah. So we got to just hang out until the shows, really. That rocks. And then after the shows, what was weird about, not being in a hotel for the night is we would change and shower at the theaters.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we were just kind of at the mercy of whatever facility the theater had.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a little ominous. But
we invested in shower shoes.
Yeah, baby. Boy, do I.
But we had to because, I was in a full face of hippo makeup.
That is, yeah.
It wasn't just a makeup wipe and go to sleep situation. It was, I need to rinse off this glitter. So yeah, that was always our first question is, where's the shower and what does it look like?
Of course.
But yeah, so I did that. That was 5 months of just like one-nighters.
That's great.
If you can imagine.
So is it very much like you're just in a different state every day or a different city every day?
Different city, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for Madagascar specifically, we were only doing, let me correct myself. We had one. We had one overnighter where we did 2 days, and that was in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And we had our 3-show day that day. We did a Friday night, then we did an 11 a.m., I think it was a 2 p.m. and like a 7 p.m.
Oh my God.
So we were there for like the overnight. That was our luxury. But usually it was one and done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Madagascar considered TYA?
I would say yes.
Okay.
It is a full-length show with an intermission. So it is, I wouldn't say it's as adult-friendly as like Shrek. Like it's not geared towards adults in that way, but I would say the adults stay entertained.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle of that.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's also a familiar franchise.
Yeah,
and
it's DreamWorks.
It's got some bops in it.
You know what? It really does have a surprisingly good score, if I'm being totally honest with you. Those songs get stuck in your head. The kids love it. And it's kind of fun. I mean, TYA is what it is. But, seeing all the kids dressed up in their animals and, we made a killing with merch and flashing lights. And it was crazy. And, Move It. Who doesn't love that song and that dance? And
classic.
Of course, we did a big old encore at the end with everybody on their feet. And, it was a vibe. It was a good time.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then your transition was from that to international.
Yes.
And that's a little
kind
different.
Of wild the way that came up because it's one of those like everything happens for a reason situations this past year. Because I was determined to not do any theater over the fall
Oh,
because
wow.
I was a maid of honor in my best friend's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's really important to
Of
me.
course.
And it's one of those things where, you know, you have to find a balance between theater and your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I was going to stick to, of course.
Yeah, that's important. I also don't think people prioritize that enough too, because everyone's always like, I need to take whatever I can get immediately, and
Yeah.
you know, the personal life needs to take
It's hard.
Yeah.
And I had been offered a contract with Virgin Voyages
Mhm.
right after Madagascar that would have started in July and meant I wouldn't have been there in November for the wedding. And I had to say, I'm so sorry, but no.
Yeah.
And it's always hard because, you know, it's
For
good
sure.
money, it's a good job. You're like, yeah. Anyway, so I was going to stay free and stay in the New England area
Mhm.
over the fall. And the audition for the Sister Act tour came into my inbox and it said, we start in September. And I said, I'm so sorry, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurts because Sister Act is one of my favorite shows, honestly. It's
yeah.
a really good one. But I said no, and that freed me up to be home for The Little Mermaid, which is
Whoa.
why I was around in Massachusetts. Crazy.
Heck yeah.
So I really loved that. And then I did my best friend's wedding in November.
Mm-hmm.
And then what ended up happening with Sister Act is they figured out kind of quickly that whoever was going to take that job couldn't start in September. They had to start in December because they were going to cast it in September, but they had to get a visa because this is an international job.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, just kidding. Like, the audition will be now, but the job won't start until December. And then I said, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
That's a
Well,
very
now
good
we're
decision.
talking. So I went in, I got the job, and then I had to go through all of this paperwork
Yeah.
to apply for an international work visa, which is why it's paperwork, and then they assign
Mhm.
you a number, and then you have to go to the embassy, and then you have to go back to the embassy with your passport. It's this whole thing.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah,
a lot for
it was a
singing
learning
and
curve
dancing.
for me. Yep, just to go be a sparkly nun across the globe. So I got all that done. I got the wedding done. It was lovely, and then I jetted off to South Korea,
Yeah.
which was crazy. And it was hard because I left right before Christmas, so
Mhm.
I was away for the holidays. But I thought it was going to be worth it because it was supposed to go until May.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to go until
What?
May.
What?
Yeah, weird. So I got there, and I think it was like a week or two after I arrived in South Korea, they told us that instead of ending in May, we were
Mhm.
going to be ending in February, which is a pretty big switch up.
I'll say.
And so I was really devastated
Mhm.
because, it's a couple of months' work I'm not going to have. And now what do? I'm in another country. How can I audition for other things?
Yeah.
I'm missing some of audition season. Just all these thoughts are going through your head
For sure.
on what do you do? And so they told us tentatively that they wanted to remount the show
Mhm.
for 1 month in July in Japan.
Okay.
And so that's kind of on the back burner. And we're all like, okay.
Mhm.
And we are sent home from Sister Act in February, which, again, everything happens for a reason, means that I was suddenly free to do Tarzan.
Yeah.
Also at Franklin Performing Arts Company,
Yeah, you were.
which was amazing in itself. The opportunity to perform with Josh, you got to see it?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that was
That
a really
slapped.
cool
That really. I
production.
mean, that show in general is. I think it's underrated for sure. It's got some Phil Collins. Really, he let it fly with that
and
one.
the way we got to do it concert style
Yes.
was really fulfilling
Mhm.
to honor that music.
And you were a freaking star.
That's really
You were
kind.
so good. Oh my god.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kala's been on the bucket list for a minute, so I'm so grateful that kind of came full circle for me.
Heard.
Because, at the beginning when I was in Little Mermaid and they had
Mhm.
asked about Tarzan, I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to be in South Korea.
Yeah.
So again, the way it just all kind of fell into place was really, really lucky on my
Mhm.
part. And then after Tarzan, since I was home for
Mhm.
audition season, all of a sudden my agent sent me in on some auditions and here comes Beetlejuice.
Here it comes.
And that really, for me, came out of nowhere. I had never seen the show.
Oh, interesting.
I had never seen the movie.
I've still never seen the movie.
I only recently saw it.
Okay, I was going to say,
just
you
now.
had to have. Okay.
Well, now that the sequel is coming
Mhm.
out, when we were in Mexico, we found a theater that was playing the original,
Oh, okay.
which was a really cool way to see it, on the big screen.
Yes.
Um,
Amazing.
but it was also an equity tour.
Yeah.
And I was still non-union.
Mhm.
And so not knowing the material, the source material, and it being just kind of a long shot in general, and, already thinking that I had Sister Act lined up for July, I was kind of like, well, whatever, when I went into this audition. You know, it was kind of low stakes for me at the time, which is always when it happens, right? I guess.
Yeah, that's the way you got to think, folks.
Yeah, I went in, I did some scenes. I got asked to stand dance, which is my worst nightmare.
Love that.
As, you know, a struggling mover. We learned a tap dance, and then...
Do you tap?
I do not tap.
Nice.
Well, now I do.
Oh,
Center
okay.
stage every show.
Oh my God, no pressure.
Yeah, blind mostly because I get pied in the face.
Love that.
But yeah, and then a week later, they had me come in and do a work session, and they worked on the Juno voice, because I do like a demon voice in Beetlejuice, if you know the show. And then I got the job, which was wild. And I started with Beetlejuice. I debuted in June 11th. And then Beetlejuice had a summer layoff in July. Crazy. Because that meant I was able to do that 1 month of Sister Act in Japan.
Yeah.
It's almost like chaotically beautiful the way those dates lined up.
Truly, everything happens for a reason.
I'm saying, it's like this year has proved that to me over and over, that like you got to just trust and believe, and like your journey will happen for you.
Hell yeah.
What is meant for you is going to make sure that it works in your schedule.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's it. And if that ain't the truth, there we go.
That's what's up.
Oh my God.
Because I literally flew from Baltimore, Maryland, which was our last tour stop before layoff, directly to Tokyo, Japan.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then because our last show was a Sunday. We flew on a Monday because of the time difference. I landed on Tuesday, and they took me directly from the airport to rehearsal with my bags. They said, no time to stop at the hotel.
No.
Get your booty on that stage. We did rehearsal that night. We did rehearsal that afternoon, like a run through of the show, and we opened that Wednesday.
Insane.
Yeah. So we opened Sister Act, I think, just over 24 hours after I landed in the country.
Damn.
Yeah. And I had not done the show in 4 months.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm telling you, though, muscle memory, it's a thing.
Oh, of course. It's got to be in there.
I was really surprised how well that stuck. When we did Sister Act for a month, we did 3 weeks in Tokyo at Tokyo Theater Orb. And then we did a week in Osaka. And then I flew from Osaka I did do a pit stop in Boston. I did an overnight in Boston. I think I got to my house at 8 p.m. and then I left my house at 9 a.m. So I had literally like 13 hours to do some laundry, sleep, pet my dog, and then head to Mexico, where we reopened Beetlejuice in Mexico. And that is the week that I made my Delia debut.
Whoa.
Unexpectedly.
Of course. I mean, that would be way too easy if you knew.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah. Literally, what a journey.
Wow.
A wild ride.
You are really living the dream.
Yeah.
You really are.
Chaotically.
Yeah,
living the dream.
know, I didn't say it was always the best of dreams, the smoothest of dreams, but you are living the dream. So amongst all of the different touring, I think we talked about this last week on the cruise episode, because it would always be like my first thing I think about is like, how are we packing? How are we preparing for all of this? But I would say, let's start with the international, because that feels like the biggest wild card. Like, you are truly just literally in a completely different culture that you've probably never been in before.
Totally. And you know what? I'll say that our company was pretty good about preparing us for what we needed to bring to stay culturally respectful.
Heard. Okay.
Because something that we might not have thought about is that they find it rude if you're not covering your shoulders.
Oh.
And we were there at a time of year where we probably wouldn't be, walking around with our shoulders uncovered. It was like December through February. So it was also cold there. But, if we're in rehearsal clothes or something like that, like before we go down the hall to the bathroom, like put something over yourself.
Yeah.
So it was stuff like that they did prepare us for. But it's a learning curve for sure. And I'll say, like, a lot of us underpacked because we wanted to do some shopping there. We wanted to pick up, the fun, new trendy things and kind of fit in with what everyone was wearing in Korea, because it's stylistically different over there, which is really fun. The patterns and things that they wear, I would say they're a little more trendy, a little bolder than we are.
I love that.
Yeah. So it was really fun to pack and kind of, integrate as much as we could with what was going on over there.
Yeah. And how did company management in that regard, like, kind of prep you for that, especially like culturally too? Like, how are you I don't want to say assimilated because that feels weird, but just like adjusting your life accordingly in such a crazy quick period of time.
Yeah, I mean, they sent us a couple of articles.
Okay.
To read up on things that they thought were useful. But then also what was really the best thing for us is we had several translators with us at all times.
Yep.
Our assistant director was bilingual, and we had overseers for the dressers who were bilingual and people who were able to kind of facilitate that for us if we ever had questions, which we did.
Right.
We had millions of questions. You kind of have these people here to guide you along the way and kind of hold your hands as you figure out a different culture and a different language and a different money system, all these things, because our per diem was in Korean cash, and the won, I believe. And I was thinking I was dealing with the Korean money system, and then I dealt with the Japanese money system and the Mexican peso. My brain is spinning with all these things I've had to learn this year, really culturally. But yeah, it's one of those things where and also like in South Korea, they don't have tax on things, which is nice. So if the menu says it's 5,000 won, you just hand them a 5,000 when you walk away. And then you also don't tip there.
Yeah.
So I will say that was easy. We didn't have to break things into a million little coins, which we did in
Crazy what
Mexico.
happens when you pay your employees accordingly.
Yeah, they really have it figured out over there. I will say there's a lot of things I really wish that the U.S. would catch up on as far as cleanliness. Their subway system, immaculate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like
how
Tokyo
does that even
has little
work?
Barriers in front of their subway for safety.
Amazing.
They have women-only cars, things like that, like that are
That's
just
amazing.
more thoughtful for their public.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite literally foreign. That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, it works, people. Like, let's bring it. New York could never.
Someone.
New
Tell
York,
someone. Tell
New
the mayor.
York could never.
Tell the governor.
We would have to burn the entire infrastructure of this city to get all the rats out. Never
Burn
mind.
to the ground,
oh
start
my
over.
God. So, did you have any fears? That's a stupid question. What were your fears going into like this international kind of experience, and like were those alleviated pretty quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's mostly just fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Like I said, like this is all literally foreign to me, and I really wish Duolingo worked better because I tried. I had like a little 70-day streak going.
Oh my! Well, first of all, congratulations, because that is an accomplishment in itself.
Well, like I said, I knew I booked the job back in September, but I wasn't going until December, so I had all this time to kind of like be like, I'm going to be the best tourist I can be. And so I did. I tried to learn Korean. I watched as many interpretive videos and things as I could to kind of prepare myself. But it's one of those things you never know what you're in for until you're actually there.
Understood.
And it was a huge culture shock. But my fears, I don't think there were many fears as much as like just general anxieties about making sure that I wasn't offending anyone or making sure that I was, like saying things correctly and my pronunciation was okay and just things that you don't want to accidentally be disrespectful.
Of course.
But I think it went okay. I didn't have any major embarrassments.
It seemed pretty darn successful.
Yeah, they did a great job with making the show accessible to an audience that doesn't speak English because we had subtitles on TV screens.
Amazing.
Next to the show going on at the same time. And that was kind of its own adventure because they would be reading the subtitles, which meant sometimes their laughs were like delayed.
I love that.
Or they were early. You know what I mean? Like depending on.
Amazing.
So it was interesting for us to kind of adjust our show to like to them, or some things didn't read at all, or some gags didn't work because of the language barrier. It's just one of those, well, we're doing our best. But Sister Act is set up in a way where it's pretty easy to follow. It's very much like good singing nuns, bad gangster men. Like it's not the hardest of plots to get.
The dichotomy of it all.
Yeah, it's really
love that.
But it plays well in South Korea because they do it every couple of years.
Oh, amazing.
We had several returning cast members who had done it like in 2017 over there. And there were casts before that. So they have a couple of shows that they really like. Yeah. To bring. A West Side Story is one of them.
Of course.
Chris and Clay were in the opening cast of West Side Story at Theater Orb.
Oh my
God.
God.
I saw their poster when I was over there. They were
crazy.
like the opening cast of that theater back in 2012, I believe. So that was cool. It was kind of a legacy to see that theater has housed some really cool shows, some really cool
Yeah.
people, and they have posters lining the walls that you can just see the history of it.
Yeah. And what is the reception like of like American musicals over there? Like, are they really just super fans?
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell because a lot of them still do wear masks in the theater.
Understood.
And they will laugh. I would say, I think the Koreans laughed a little more than they did in Japan.
Okay.
Japan stayed very respectful until the end of the show, and then they're on their feet, they're singing, they're clapping. We do an
Amazing.
encore of Raise Your Voice, and they love it, you know. In Japan, they literally did like, I think it was 4 or 5 encores every night. They would bring back Dolores and Mother Superior to keep bowing and keep bowing because they're just on their feet, just having a ball. But they're great audiences. They respond differently. They're not as energetic to you during the performance, giving you as much feedback in that like particular moment, but they do enjoy it, and they would prove that by being at the stage door, you know.
Oh my
day.
God, amazing!
When we were in Korea, our stage door was just right down the escalator, and so we would have a sea of people, just waiting to take pictures and get the playbill signed.
Cool.
And, it was really cool.
I feel like there is like a general reputation of these international tours having just like really amazing crowds and audiences and fans. You know,
I think that they really appreciate these shows. Like you can tell a lot of them come back over and over, and they'll see it multiple times. We'll have fans of the show itself, or of, you know, they'll follow you on Instagram and they'll message you, and it's really cool. You'll get messages that say like, this show helped me learn English, you know. Like, I think it's really sweet. And even though there may be like a little language barrier there, like there's always, you know, smiling and taking pictures, and
of course,
and we get fan art, and you know, they do their best to like to show you their appreciation.
Wow,
it's great.
Amazing. I feel like I don't know if it's just dumb America or what, but like it doesn't feel like we kind of have like the flip side of that, you know? Like I don't feel like we see as much touring from like foreign theatrical experiences or anything, or like that it's as crazily supported, you know?
I would agree. I don't know that we have any like international productions here that are performing in German or performing, you know, we have opera, but that's us doing it in another language.
Exactly.
So yeah, I would say you're correct. And I think that's why it's so exciting for them when they get these shows over there, and when we can do, you know, productions.
I don't know if America's just getting it right theatrically, or if it's getting it wrong culturally, or both.
A little of both, honestly. Who knows?
You know?
It's one of those things where you see other countries translating American musicals into their own language.
Yeah.
They did a production of Sister Act in, I want to say it was 2018 or 19, that was in Korean.
Amazing.
You know, like they do their own versions and translate them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if we've seen any musicals that we've translated into English.
I feel like art is just more respected elsewhere as well too, which is also just really nice. You know, it's also nice that there's kind of a hub for that, and it just creates really cool opportunities for actors.
Of course,
you know? Rock and roll.
No, yeah, to get to travel internationally for free is a gag. Like, who knew? It's crazy that like you can do this to be a sparkly nun,
and
you know,
get
like,
paid
that's
to
wild.
do what you love in the process.
Yeah,
that's a dream. Wow.
Literally.
Okay, so then let's bring it back to the home front. Now you're touring America. How are we let's start with bus and truck. How are we packing for a bus and truck tour? How are we mentally and physically preparing ourselves for that?
You know, it really depends on, like, usually when you book a contract and you're touring, you'll get your schedule in advance, which is very nice. You can take a look ahead to see what's going on. And if it's like something like Madagascar, when we were just there for a short amount of time, a short couple of months, you do need to bring everything you need for that like full month span, a full couple month span. And like that range for us, it was like the end of winter to the beginning of summer.
Okay.
You know, so like I had some big coats with me, and then I had my swimsuit, you know, I had the whole kind of range. And I think you have to trust that overpacking is not the answer.
Yeah.
That is still a lesson I am learning, but overpacking is not the answer.
Of course.
You just have to be, it's sort of like the same with packing for cruise ships. You have to find articles of clothing that are multifunctional.
Heard.
Layering is great. You know, your basics. The things you need most are underwear, tank tops, and leggings and socks.
Yeah.
Anything else is an accessory. Like,
I also feel like it's tough because when you like think of like hitting the road too, you're like, wow, I'm getting to be an actor on the road. I need to bust out looks left and right.
Brennan,
Like I need to be a fashion icon
But
for
here's the
these
thing, like-
the masses.
Sure. And there are times that you show up and you show out and you go to that restaurant and you look amazing. And that is the only time you put on that outfit in the entire 5 months you're on tour.
Love that.
You know what I mean? And so, like, yes, amazing if you can afford that space in your suitcase. Because I will say 1 or 2 looks is for sure worth it. For sure worth it. You need to have
listen to that, people.
Your go-to outfits, absolutely. Like for Beetlejuice, we have a couple red carpets, you know? So, of course, tucked away in a compression bag somewhere is like a sparkly dress.
Love.
But other than that, I will be so honest with you. I think I wore my Sister Act sweatshirt to the theater every day.
Amazing.
You know?
Amazing.
Like that's what I was wearing 95% of the time.
You're going to work, you know?
We're going to work. You're going to the theater 8 times a week. You don't have to wear anything fancy. And then you're coming home and you're going to bed, you know? So you don't have to wear anything fancy on the day-to-day. And same with Beetlejuice. Like I'm in my Beetlejuice merch. Like it's pretty basic.
Hell yeah.
But you know, a couple nice things, a couple things to wear to the pool. If you have, you know, a hotel with a pool, that's always nice. But it really is less than you think.
Heard. Okay, so like in terms of like baggage allowance and stuff, what are you looking at for differences between like your non-union tours and then your equity flying tours and all of that jazz?
Yeah, I actually, for all 3 of the tours that I've been on, I have had the same set of luggage with me.
Love.
So I have 2 bags that I fly with, and usually either the airline will give you a 2-bag allowance or the tour will pay for you to have 2 bags.
Great.
I think all 3 of my tours reimbursed us for our baggage. And so I have 2 decently sized suitcase. You know, one's bigger, one's smaller, but they're set. And then I personally travel with like a backpack. I love a backpack. Or like you can do a crossbody or a tote or something.
Yeah.
Something that's like you're going to and from the theater bag where you can have your tablet and your script and a water bottle can fit in there, some snack, like something big enough for just an everyday thing. And then your suitcases are in your hotel room. You know?
I love backpack culture, which is just
no shame.
It is just the actor's way. It's also just like even New Yorker, like just the New Yorker way. Like I am wearing a backpack every single place I go.
It simply is the most convenient thing.
Yeah.
The weight distribution is correct. Like they come in all these fun patterns and things. Like I love a backpack. I don't get it. I don't get the heat. I don't understand.
No. Every once in a while, like I'll have like an out of body moment where I'm just like walking down the sidewalk and I look around and I see all the backpacks. I'm like, we're in high school.
Right.
We're in high
just
school.
A giant recess. Everyone's out there like running around with their backpacks. But it is. It's truly the most convenient bag that exists. And that's why it is held up to this day.
Everyone get yourself a nice backpack. Make it last.
Amen.
Yeah. Oh, I need a new one. I'm in need of a new one. Mine's falling apart, but I love it too much. I can't let it go.
I love a new shop.
I'm sewing it together left and right. Whatever. We'll see. It's back to school season.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
You'll find some good sales.
Oh, love that. So Beetlejuice. So now you're on the Beetlejuice tour, which Beetlejuice itself has had like a crazy history theatrically and in that space.
Totally.
You know? What was your process and stuff joining something that I guess is like so iconic in the realm of theater right now, you know?
Yeah, Brennan, I was so unprepared.
It was like a lot of
that.
pressure.
Yeah, no, I was really not expecting it. And I guess I should have because it wasn't in my world.
Yep.
I was on Disney Cruise Line when it was on Broadway.
Yep.
So I just totally missed it. I just was out of the city.
Heard.
And then, you know, it kind of had its moment during the pandemic on TikTok. And again, aging myself, I'm just like a little too old. Like my algorithm just kind of missed it, you know?
Oh
like
my God.
It wasn't my thing. I didn't get it. So yeah, it's just like it never was a musical that I ever just sort of like came across or discovered. And, you know, I didn't have the chance to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And I also didn't think there was a role for me. You know, like I feel like we pay attention to shows that you think are for you.
Yeah.
And that wasn't one of them for me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just kind of never on my radar. And so again, when it popped up, I was kind of like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with these sides. This is weird material. Like the language in it is so specific and quirky and funny and out there. And you can kind of do whatever you want with it. So, you know, I expressed these concerns to my agent. He was like, just make big choices. I said, great. And here we are, you know. And so when I kind of stepped into this world and got the job and, you know, started doing my due diligence to research the history of the show and sort of go back to the beginning and see like I was watching interviews with Alex Brightman and like the OGs and seeing kind of how they created this and who was this guy that wrote it and like all these things that I was trying to find out. And when I realized just how massive of a spectacle in itself it became, I was a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it was kind of crazy. People were sending me little hints or websites and links of like whispers on like Reddits that I was joining the cast. And I was like, how do they know?
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's kind of wild.
That's crazy.
And so I felt pressured to like go ahead and post because I was like, oh, okay, I gotta get it out there.
Oh my God.
But yeah, like people know things about the show.
Theater people are
be doing deep dives.
terrifying.
I'll tell you, you know, every day before the show, maybe 2 hours before the show, once the cast is finalized, we get a text that's the in-out for the day, which tells us who's going on and who's out and who's doing what track and all that fun stuff. There have been times where Beetlejuice Instagrams will post the cast before we know it.
Amazing.
It is crazy. So it was wild to join it and exciting, you know, kind of thrilling to be in this sort of spotlight with all these eyes on you sort of at all times, like not even when you're just on stage. Like it's the following on Instagram. It's the messages people want to send you. It's the fan art. It's all these things that come along with being a part of Beetlejuice that is so well liked. We were just voted fan favorite tour. You know,
oh my God! Woo!
I know.
Fun,
How
fun,
cool.
fun.
So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to keep up. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there are fans that have seen the show more than I performed it. You know, so I really feel
it
like
might be true. It really might be true.
I think it's probably a fact because we're really lucky that our fans are so dedicated that they will travel to come see the show. There's people who follow the tour and have seen it hundreds of times.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they document it and they reach out to us and they'll film the bows, which is always so sweet.
Yeah. It's very quickly turned into one of those cult classics. Like I feel like it very much in terms of like fan base and stuff, it exists in like the Heathers kind of realm and stuff, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely has that vibe, that weird quirky thing that people just kind of latch onto because it's so kind of out there and it's its own kooky, crazy show. And for us as performers, it is such a gift to be a part of a show that like there really is no limit.
Yeah.
It's so freeing and exciting, and every show is different because I get the question like, do you get bored like doing a long running show where you're just doing the same track every day? And like, I mean, I'm still very new to Beetlejuice, but I'm pretty sure the answer is no, because it's every show is just like so fun and so joyous and like we're throwing different stuff out there. The audience energy is always really different.
Unhinged. It's an unhinged show.
And our Beetlejuice really gets the freedom to fully interact with the audience. We break the fourth wall all the time in that show. And depending on, you know, how young, how old, how tipsy the audience is that day, like you never know what you're going to get from them back. Because they'll have full conversations on stage too. So it's always kind of exciting for us. And especially with like the movie coming out, like being at a time where like there's like kind of cross promotion going on.
It's also about to be spooky. I mean, it is kind of spooky season.
Halloween season. Yeah. And for us, every day is Halloween because our fans cosplay.
Of course.
They cosplay all day, every day. It's so cool. Like they're more dressed up than we are.
Yeah.
Like, they're wearing more makeup. It took them hours. It took us from half hour to curtain call. You know what I mean? Like
hell yeah.
They're out there with like these crazy looks. And it's just so fun to see because they go all out for the show.
Of course. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You must be over the moon. You must be over the moon.
I am. I'm really excited that it worked out, that it's as a person of color and a plus size performer and, you know, just someone who is not marketable in all aspects.
Yeah.
You know, it's been really difficult to kind of navigate my personal journey.
Of course.
And like finding a show like this where I feel included, accepted, like embraced for like what I do is like really, really exciting for me. And I'm so lucky that we're touring for at least another year.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a stable job for now. Like when do you ever get like stability in theater? So
I'm sorry,
the whole thing is a gift. What is that word?
Stability?
You're gonna have to look it up.
Unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Going off of that, what is your type? What is your kind of your acting? What's your brand? What is all
My
that kind of
brand?
thing?
Yeah, I mean, I am truly who can know. I feel like it's morphed and changed and all this stuff. I used to consider myself like a sassy sidekick belter girl, and like that's still there, but I'm aging up. I'm aging into like more mature roles. I'm someday I'll age into the Mama Mortons and the Motor Mouths and stuff like that. And that was all stuff that I was doing non-union because that cap is a little lower.
Of course.
But now that I've moved up, I'm gonna have to wait a little bit when I do at union. But I'm a mixed belter.
Hard.
I'm a character actor. I don't dance. Unless you
Which is okay.
Listen, I love a park and bark, you know what I mean? Just like dance around me. I'll be here. But yeah, I don't personally, like I don't want to be boxed into the African American stereotype of like, oh, you're an Effie.
For sure.
You know, just because I'm plus size and black. Like that's not really what I do.
Yeah. I
tend to do more comedy. You know, I love a dramatic role, but I don't gravitate to them, I will say. So there you have like theater, like you have your Les Mis and your Miss Saigon, and like I'm over here doing like theater, musical, like that's my niche. Like I love some shtick and some comedy, and that's really right where Beetlejuice lives.
For sure.
So, and I personally, like my track in Beetlejuice, I get to do like a split track where I play Maxine Dean, who just shows up at the end of Act 1 in that, infamous dinner scene where we all get possessed and we're just having chaos on that stage doing Deo. And then in Act 2, I start Act 2 by being the tap dancing pie lady who we've mentioned. Pied in the face every single show, and then Dancing Blind is its own chaotic 2 minutes for me every night.
Special skills right on the resume.
I will tell you, I still get anxiety over that song specifically.
Of course.
Day. It'll go away someday. But right now, struggle.
Yeah.
And then in Act 2, I get to play Juno, who is a demon. She's a demon. She's old. She's decrepit, which is great because I'll never age out of her. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's fun. I get to do like this full face of demon makeup and this wig that is absurd and this gorgeous costume that was handmade for me and handcrafted and painted, and it's just so detailed. I don't know if you get to really appreciate it as an audience member, but the costumes in Beetlejuice are elaborate and stunning.
That rocks.
And I just get to, have fun on stage and make different choices all the time and really just
I'm so happy to hear that. I feel like in the year that I have known you, like you have truly done so many different things.
Yeah,
like your range,
all the roles I've done.
Yeah,
since
your
you've
range
known
is
me.
like very, very out there. Like you have quite a bit under your belt, and like I think we talk a lot about like finding your shtick, your type, your brand, whatever, as your way to kind of get your foot in the door and stuff. But like once your foot is in the door, then you get to say, hey, look at all this other stuff that I can do. And it really seems like you're doing that, you know?
Yeah, I've gotten very lucky.
Yeah. No, you didn't get lucky. You deserve it.
That's
you
really
did.
kind.
You're very talented and you deserve it. You put in the work and now
giving range.
You're reaping the rewards.
I thought it was really funny that I went from, like playing like a demon in the netherworld to playing like the happiest nun in the convent.
Of course.
Back and forth and just like across the globe.
Gorilla mother of orphan
weeping,
human child.
Weeping every night. I mean, like you try not to cry when Josh Strickland is singing
God.
You'll Be in My Heart.
Of course.
In your face.
Of course.
Stunning.
I did Tarzan right before I went to college too.
Did you?
Yeah, with MPAC. Oh,
Brennan,
cut that out.
MPAC. So this is so funny that we both did MPAC before we knew each other.
Yeah.
Because we're both Massachusetts.
Absolutely.
Babies. We'll come back to MPAC.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Because your Harry Potter legacy
Of
lives
course.
on.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
My viral day in the sun.
Look. You should be so proud.
I really am. In hindsight, I'm really grateful that it happened.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I did not go viral, but I played Lady of the Lake in their production of Spamalot.
Oh my God.
I did.
Heck yeah. Oh, that's a great role for you. That must have been awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the 12 people that saw it in that tiny space.
Of course. Oh, wow. But yeah, I did Tarzan right before I went to college too. So all of that mother-son stuff was, I'm a mama's boy. Everyone knows that. It really hits. It really hits.
Tarzan's a story of adoption, and I'm adopted, and Josh Strickland's adopted.
Oh my God.
So honestly, it was one of those things we bonded over immediately, day 2 of rehearsal.
That's crazy.
For it to, be so special. And it's so special to him since it's a story that's been with him since, was it 2006?
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah, so it was really special to kind of share that with him.
That rocks.
Yeah.
I hope we all get to do it together again someday.
You never know, because that production had some interest in it. We filmed it and it got sent to Disney Theatricals because, like I said, it was like a hybrid situation.
Yeah.
And Tarzan is really kind of a difficult show to stage in its original intention, because you need to fly on vines and it needs its space, and it's got these epic fight scenes, and you have to portray monkeys or gorillas, which can be a little bit yikes sometimes if you don't do it right, So there's some challenges that come along with staging a good production of Tarzan. And I think it was really cool that we found a way to do that with kind of like swerving and mixing and making it our own, so that those issues didn't arrive and they didn't come up at all.
It's also just nice to see like a Disney property being able to be kind of like remastered and remounted in a different lens, because like they are very protective of their I mean, a lot of rights companies are very protective of their concepts and whatnot, but like it's that company in particular, it's nice to see that they are able to kind of like relinquish that to like go with the times and like kind of just try new things.
Something that's not a copycat production.
Exactly. Keep that alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Rework
even like
the magic.
With Hercules right now, like everywhere that's going, it's like changing every single time.
Yeah.
To try and kind of make it work in different ways.
Hoping it lands here someday, because Hercules is just one of my tops.
Yep.
Top favorites.
I didn't get to see it when it was at Paper Mill, but like the German production right now looks gorgeous.
And that's the same with Tarzan. The German production thrived.
Oh my God, yeah.
Thrived. Josh went and did it over in Germany. He had to learn German because they did it actually in German.
Is crazy.
Which is wild, yeah. And that production ran so long because in Germany they really handle these epic spectacles so well because their theaters are equipped much better than ours, because Broadway is amazing.
Yeah.
But like we're so limited by space. We're in the middle of Times Square. Like these theaters are only so big.
And those buildings are staying exactly the same interiorly as they have been for the past 100 years, you know?
And that's something that's so interesting when you think about it, that we think of Broadway as the top, the biggest, the best. And then you go to these touring houses that seat so many more people that are massive.
They're
and
beautiful.
Giant. And like we're having to make the stage smaller to fit our set, because our set is similar to Broadway. You know what I mean? And like in retrospect, that is small. It is tiny. So
I love that. We haven't really talked about that. That is so true.
Right.
You know?
The touring houses tend to be multiples of Broadway houses.
Yeah.
There could be, I mean, anywhere from, could be 1,000, could be 8,000. Like there's those massive ones out there, like Kansas Starlet, some of the ones that are outdoors.
Yeah.
They really get infinitely bigger than Broadway.
Truly. Wow. Folks, enough with Broadway. Broadway, that's so yesterday.
Broadway, baby houses.
Oh my God. Chump change. Who even wants to do that anymore? Oh, dear God, someday we'll be there. Do you have any words of wisdom that you want to share in terms of like folks going out there touring, doing their thing, how to kind of just get there, you know?
That's the battle, isn't it? You just gotta throw every opportunity at the wall.
Yep.
Really, that is what it is. Like that's what I was doing before I got an agent, and that's what I was doing after I got an agent. I was still self-submitting, still reaching out, and it's really all about those connections and things that pop up, because once you do get yourself in enough rooms, the casting directors are your best friends.
Yeah.
And it's making those relationships and checking in on them. And honestly, it's staying in touch with people through social media. Do you follow Michael Cassera and Allison Frank on Instagram? You know what I mean? Like, make sure you're following everyone you can to stay as up to date as possible.
Yeah.
And things like with Beetlejuice, like, we just had a search for a new Lydia, and they put that on Instagram, and they were doing a nationwide search, and these things are accessible if you
That
shoot
must
your
have
shot.
broke their inbox.
Whew, let me tell you. Yeah. And it also broke my For You page. I
Oh
was
my
getting
God.
all the dead mom on my For You page for weeks.
Oh.
But yeah, they did a very thorough search for our next Lydia.
Y'all,
which is really
you don't have to
exciting for us.
put all your current auditions on your TikTok. You don't.
You don't need to post your self-tapes.
Yeah, you can post them. I would say post them later. Wait a little bit. Post them later.
Yeah,
you know,
I would definitely not in the moment. I think that is a mistake. I do think that's a little cringy when it comes to casting, because they're also out there scrolling. I'm sure they have TikToks as well.
Of course.
And yeah, or like make it friends only or something. If you're really proud of your work, which I understand, and there's been self-tapes I've been like, wow, I wish more than just the casting director saw this. I totally get it. But like, put that in your reel, you know?
Make it public on your YouTube channel if you want to. But like, nobody wants to be pressured into casting you by the masses of the internet. So
it's a hit or miss, you know? Sometimes
let's be mindful of that.
The followers work in your favor. Sometimes they don't. It's literally, who knows? And casting is totally out of our hands. I want to say that.
It is so true.
Casting has nothing to do with you, and you never know what's going on behind the table, in the inboxes, and the conversations. And honestly, none of your business.
Also that.
None of your business, because your job is done after you've left that audition room.
Unless we're theater people and we want our noses in everyone's business.
So you better stay off Callback Corner. I see you.
Oh my God.
Don't do it.
I haven't been on there in months, which has felt really
for
nice.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good for you.
Oh, wow. That's growth, if anything.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anywho, folks, we're rooting for you. We are your biggest supporters. And of course, you can be our biggest supporters by finding us on Patreon. That is patreon.com/BA to Broadway. Your normal disclaimer, we are not gatekeeping any information on there. That is just for fun, bonus content, silly stories, fun times. So go check us out. And our principal tier Patreon members get to choose the shows that Danny and I talk about on Wednesdays for In the Spotlight. So if there's anything you want to hear us talk about in particular, come find us on there. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA2Broadway. Maria, where can folks find you if you want to be found?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram. That is at Maria Norris. And that's about it. I mean,
Amazing.
my website is under construction.
There we go.
You know, that's a someday. But for now, Instagram it is.
Rock and roll. Maria, I am literally so happy to have you here.
I'm so glad this worked
It's been a long time coming.
Truly. I'm honored.
Great.
I am the pod's biggest fan.
And I'm sure you will be back.
Yeah, someday.
Literally anytime that you're welcome here.
Amazing. I'll have more tour to share, more stories.
Rock and roll.
I'll have conquered Alaska.
Oh my God. That's crazy. That'll be a wild one.
Can't wait.
Okay. Well, until that next time, folks. Bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.